What's going on, professional wrestling fans? My name is Jose Ramos Jr. Thanks for joining me in another video today. And of course, being that it was a big weekend for WWE and AEW with the shows The Great American Bash, All In, Saturday night's main event, and Evolution, it's a lot of ground to cover here in 1 week. And so traditionally we do our live reactions on our post shows after the fact, but I had to give myself some time to catch up with all the wrestling content. If you haven't checked out my video for AEW All In and my review for the main events there, please go out of your way and check that out and to see what I thought about AEW All In, as well as to share your thoughts and your reactions in the comments alone. But hey, in today's video, we're going to be talking about Saturday night's main event. The big event, of course, being Goldberg versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. A matchup that, I'm going to be honest with you, if you have been keeping up with the live streams, in my opinion, on Goldberg and this matchup, maybe I was wrong. Goldberg in his final matchup actually delivered an entertaining, a safe matchup, as well as he and Gunther had a matchup that doubled the time that I thought it should have gone. I was a big champion of saying, hey, 7 minutes. 7 minutes, no more, no less. But they went 14 minutes with that matchup. And I gotta admit, those 14 minutes flew by. Goldberg, of course, being presented as the legend that he is in professional wrestling. But Gunther, over the course of this matchup, they talked about it on the broadcast. The longer the matchup goes, the more it favors the champion. And that certainly was the case. Goldberg had used a lot of his great moves that he had in the past: the jackhammer, the spear, the speed, the strength. But Gunther, being that he's in his prime and is the world champion of the WWE right now, had it in position as the longer it went, the more it favored him. And as we saw at the ending of the matchup, Goldberg is placed into the sleeper hold, just like I said he would, and he didn't tap. Instead, he passed out. Gunther retains the championship. Overall, a solid showing for Goldberg in his final matchup, and I'm happy for him that he was able to do so in Atlanta, his hometown, in front of friends and family. Although it did kind of suck that, hey, his final farewell to the fans and that speech he was given was cut in the middle of it because the broadcast had ran out of time. So that kind of sucks, but at the same time, it's a little ironic of being that moment in WCW where it was Goldberg versus Diamond Dallas Page, and the time had ran out on the pay-per-view. So a little bit of irony there. Overall, it delivered. I will gladly say I was wrong. 7 minutes may have been too less, but Goldberg and Gunther deliver a solid matchup. Another one added to the Gunther long list of wins. Now, that's the good news. The unfortunate news, of course, coming from the Seth Rollins versus LA Knight matchup, a matchup that I was looking forward to, but it will go down as one of those matches that we're going to remember because of an injury. Seth Rollins, during a little bit of a senton and then a moonsault, seemed to have tweaked his knee. We do not know the severity of this injury. We hope that it's nothing too serious, and if he has to miss some time, it won't be an extensive amount of time. Of course, we know Seth Rollins is Mr. Money in the Bank, so he has that championship opportunity at his disposal for the next calendar year. However, depending on where his injury status is, we may see another Mr. Kennedy incident where he may lose that briefcase to someone else. Big win for LA Knight, in terms of optics, to get the win over a former world champion like Seth Rollins. But at the same time, knowing what happened, and because it's an injury, it's a little bit of an asterisk of a victory here for LA Knight. The finish itself was interesting because you can tell there was something wrong, and Seth Rollins talking with the medical staff, talking with the official, and then finally waving them off saying, "I can go," and then immediately getting hit with LA Knight's BFT. You kind of already knew that there was something wrong here. We don't know how long he's going to be gone. We're going to be awaiting reports and any other statements being made by the WWE and their medical staff to see where Seth Rollins will be in the next coming months. But again, something to look out for. We wish Seth Rollins a speedy recovery, and we have to see what's next for that group, because it was very apparent that they were grooming Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed to an extent, but mostly Braun Breaker, to be the breakaway star from this group. I think a lot of people, myself included, were looking at it from the stance of like Evolution, the way Batista stepped away from Triple H. Now, because of this injury, is it going to, move the timeline around in terms of where certain things are going to transpire? Again, that's something that you and I are going to have to wait for. And of course, we always come back to these videos and the live streams to discuss our thoughts and opinions on the ongoing events in pro wrestling. Speaking of ongoing events, we have SummerSlam just around the corner. It's the first weekend of August, and a match has been confirmed. Of course, we know Cena versus Cody Rhodes will be fighting for the WWE Championship, but now we have a tag team matchup on the card. It'll be Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre versus the unlikely duo, and apparently they're best friends nowadays, Randy Orton, and Jelly Roll. I don't know how I feel about it. Of course, it is a celebrity appearance. We know how those go. But being that Jelly Roll has lost a significant amount of weight and has seemed to be partaking in some training for pro wrestling, I'm always going to give the benefit of the doubt and see, okay, let me hear them out and see what they got. I don't know how I feel about having Drew and Randy, two big stars on the card, involved in this celebrity matchup. Logan Paul makes perfect sense, and I love the irony of him saying that we have an outsider coming into our business, so I like that little bit of storytelling there. But again, something we have to wait and see and how that transpires at SummerSlam. Saturday night's main event also had Solo Sikoa successfully defending his U.S. Championship against his older brother, Jimmy Uso. And of course, we also had the matchup with Randy Orton versus Drew I was say Drew Galloway, but Drew McIntyre. And of course, that was the lead into SummerSlam. So big notes here regarding the Gunther matchup and of course the Seth Rollins injury, but I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. Share your thoughts and opinions on the Goldberg versus Gunther matchup. How do you feel about the Seth Rollins injury, and what are your thoughts on Jelly Roll participating at SummerSlam this year? First, like the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already in order to join the J area. Of course, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. I'll see you guys in the next video.